Really quickly before we start, I want to apologize for the audio quality for most of this video. When I was recording this, I didn't realize that I had the compressor filter on, so it doesn't sound great. It gets better in the last third of the video. The audio quality is a lot better. I'll make sure to turn off that setting so that this doesn't happen again, so I apologize for that. I've already recorded everything, and I am not going to record everything again because it's been long enough already, so sorry about that. Hello, my name is Spencer, and this video will cover what Cartel Tycoon is, how it works, pros and cons, and suggestions to improve the game. So what is Cartel Tycoon? It's a management/economy game about running a cartel, shipping out illegal goods to make money, and taking out rival cartels. Making sure that the money and goods keeps flowing is key, or you're in big trouble. Logistics is really important in this game. There are story missions that you can do, but for this video we will focus on Sandbox Mode, as that allows us more freedom to do what we want. There is a survival mode, which enables Iron Man mode, which means you can't create manual saves, there are only auto saves. I believe there is a time limit on this mode as well, because you have to pay someone back. As mentioned, we're not covering this mode or the story mode, we're only doing Sandbox. So when you start a new game of Sandbox, you're taken to this menu where you can choose a cartel name, the capo. You can change this little symbol if you want to as well. The name and symbol don't matter, but every capo has different abilities or traits. Some are good, some are bad. And you start off with just these two when you haven't played any other games. We'll get into this later, but at some point your capo will probably be killed, and then you'll have to choose among your other lieutenants who will be the new capo. Once you do that, and then you come back and try to start a new game, whoever has been a capo in your previous games now becomes a starting capo. So that's how you unlock more capos as you play the game more. And all of them, we'll again get into this a little bit later, but they all have different abilities. You can have somebody have the ability to kidnap somebody and get legal money. You can increase their power. Sometimes you can have an ability that unlocks a particular building. There's all kinds of different abilities that these capos and lieutenants can have. And then you can also start in any of the 9 regions that you want. I've been starting in this region. I find this a little bit easier than the other regions. And when you're looking at these different regions, you'll see a list of resources here. These are not the only things that you can grow in these regions, so don't take it to mean that. This list simply indicates what resources will grow at 100% efficiency if you place them in the right area, which will be highlighted on the ground when you go to build a farm. You can grow what you want in any region, but at a lower efficiency, which is 30%. So don't look at this and think, oh, I can only grow cannabis and vegetables here. That's not true. All right, so here we are on the map. You can see this is the area that I started in. One of the first things you need to know about this game is that it has 2 types of currency: dirty money and legal money. You can see the amount we have of each in the top center of the screen here. You can turn dirty money into legal money by laundering it in one of the buildings in your city, like this casino, for example. And depending on what city you start in, you may have a building already built in your city, but it's not going to be one of these money laundering buildings. If anything, it'll be the hotel. In this region, I started with the hotel, which allows for a bunch of storage and some logistical options, supplying other buildings with money. You start every game with $50,000 in dirty money and $50,000 in legal money. All money laundering buildings have dirty money upkeep. It's never legal money upkeep. And it has different laundering rates and payouts. You can see in 7 days, I will get a payout of $12,600 legal money. Some buildings only launder money, some only give loyalty, some do both, and other special buildings like the depot, which I can show you in a minute, allows for a lot of storage and purchasing of other goods. So the casino does have a loyalty payout. You have to pay $12,500 to increase your loyalty. It takes 2 days to do it, and then there's a cooldown period of 9 days, I believe, something like that. So a special building would be something like this here, the area depot. It doesn't launder money, it doesn't give loyalty, but it does allow a lot of storage to $1 million and a lot of resources. It can store 700 opium, which is a lot. There are also upgrades for this. So if I were to upgrade the raw materials, I could buy any of these goods that I want. Same thing with the chemical feedstock and also the consumer goods. The consoles and TVs, you can sell those or you can use those. Well, we'll get into that later. But you can buy different resources here. Another couple key concepts are loyalty and terror. Both are displayed in the top right of the screen by these two bars. Loyalty is what governs how stable your cartel is. If it drops to 0, the people will riot and kill your capo. But don't worry, because if you have at least one other lieutenant, this is what your other cartel members are called, you will be able to choose a new capo. Capo is just the title of the cartel leader. If all of your lieutenants and capo are dead, the game is over. You can earn loyalty in a few different ways. One of the ways is by conducting special events or donations at buildings in your city. But not every building can do this. You only pay legal money to do this. You can get anywhere from low to very high loyalty gains, and then there is a cooldown period before you can use it again. The higher the loyalty gain, the longer the cooldown period. And you can gain cartel-wide benefits by raising loyalty, like decreasing how often rival cartels attack you, or terror decreasing faster, among other things. So briefly here you can see that we can pay $12,500 in legal money. You can only do these in legal money to get a very high loyalty increase. It'll take 2 days, and then there's a cooldown period of, I believe, yes, right here, it's 6 days. And actually, this is a good time to give this a little pause, because you can see that I'm having some difficulty with loyalty here. I can show you the payout here. So at the amusement park, we can pay $8,400 to get a very high loyalty increase, so we can do that now. And then over the course of a day, the loyalty will increase. It should increase to this little tick mark right here. And that way I can avoid the people rioting and trying to kill my capo, which is great. You don't want that to happen. We should speed this up here, and this will fill up. And this is definitely something you're going to want to pay close attention to, as well as the terror, because both of these things can, if loyalty goes down and terror goes up, it can make your life absolutely miserable. We did not gain as much loyalty as I had hoped, but that's okay. Speaking of terror, this is another key concept of the game. It can make things an absolute mess to deal with. You gain terror by shipping out illegal goods from smuggling points, like this seaport over here, attacking buildings, robbing a bank, kidnapping someone for ransom, and some other things. There are several terror stars you can earn, but these aren't like those gold stars you earn in grade school for being a good little kid. No. Raising terror and earning more of these stars will get you retaliatory actions by the man, ranging from police blocking one of your roads to potentially the CIA blowing up your buildings, or the army showing up and killing everyone. And the CIA blowing up your buildings will only happen after a cooldown period, after they explode the previous building, until the terror is lowered enough that it gets rid of that Terror Star. Terror lowers on its own, but very slowly. Alternatively, you can go to your city and ask the mayor to decrease the terror for you by smooth talking a government official or whatever it is that he does, but it will cost you a decrease in loyalty. You can ask the mayor for other favors like giving you a loan and a few other things here, and they all have a cooldown period before you can ask him to do that again. Now, we can get into the game itself and talk about what you'll be doing. So like I mentioned, there's dirty money and legal money. All of your production buildings either run on legal money or dirty money. Legal money is easy because the building is automatically paid whatever amount of money they need in order to keep going, as long as you have enough legal money total. You can switch between legal and dirty money at any time. You can also turn buildings on and off at any time. This way, if you notice that there's too much of a resource being produced, say at one of these farms, you can turn the building off for a while until things clear up. And buildings that are overflowing with a resource will attract the attention of the police, so you've got to be careful about that. Dirty money upkeep is more complicated. You can physically move money around to different buildings. I actually do need to bring some money into the city here. And you can store it there. Any buildings that has its upkeep tied to dirty money have to have money stored in the building in order for it to run. This is when a hotel or a residence comes in handy, because you can see here from these lines, these money lines, you can see which buildings this residence is supplying with money. So anytime the building needs some money for upkeep, trucks will leave the residence or the hotel in your city and supply the building with the money that it needs to keep going. So let's have a look over here at the cannabis production. So you start off with one of these farms which will grow the cannabis. Then what you need to do, and you can have multiple farms, then what you need to do is you need to build a warehouse and make sure that the cannabis farms are within range of this warehouse, or else they won't be serviced. Once the cannabis has grown, trucks from the warehouse will go to this farm, pick up the cannabis, put it in the warehouse. In order to sell this cannabis at a better price, we need to dry it first. So what will happen is trucks from the warehouse will deliver the cannabis to the drying rack. Once the cannabis is dried, the warehouse trucks will take it back to the warehouse, and then the warehouse won't deliver it to the dock, so we need a transportation company for that. You can set this up so that it's connected to the warehouse, so it will pick up the dried cannabis, which you can narrow down which resources you want it to handle. So I only want it to handle this dried cannabis, or if I decide to put this into a container, I can have them pick up vegetable containers, connect it to the warehouse, connect it to whatever smuggling point you want, and then these trucks will pick up the dried cannabis and deliver it to the dock. So it's really important that you have all these logistics figured out, or you're not going to be getting the resources to the smuggling points that you need to. So this stuff is really important. As an aside, I would suggest using one of your lieutenants to deliver to smuggling points, at least early on, because for a little while in the beginning, they will work for free, and you should take advantage of that. The transportation company is more expensive to build, it's more expensive to run, and why would you not take advantage of free labor? So back to the issue of money. We'll want to use one of the connections at the residence to connect it to this aerodrome, which I already have set up. The hotel in the city takes all of the money from the dock, so that's why I have it connected to the aerodrome, because there is some leftover money that this residence can actually get from there. So anytime that there's dirty money available at a smuggling point after shipping, trucks from the residence will automatically dispatch from the residence to the aerodrome or dock or whatever you have set up, pick up the dirty money, and keep the residence stocked so that it can continue to supply these other buildings with dirty money for upkeep. The same principle applies to lieutenants. If they're paid in legal money, they can be anywhere on the map and still get paid. You can see I have 0 legal money right now, so people are not getting paid and getting very upset with me. If they're working off of dirty money, then they need to be at a building that has some. So if I were to pay them in dirty money, the seaport doesn't have any dirty money right now, so this would not help me at all. Legal goods are a lot more simple. You grow the things or make the things, get them to the smuggling points, and then money in the bank, easy. Plus, your legal money chains can be self-sustaining more easily. So as long as the cost of running all the buildings, I used to have a bunch of avocados here, but rival gangs attacked them and destroyed them, but I'll set that up later. As long as the cost of running all of the buildings for your legal products chain is lower than the amount of money that you make, you'll just make profit all the time. And when you ship it out, there's obviously no terror. You're not going to gain terror by shipping out avocados. So that's a lot simpler to deal with. You probably should set up some really simple legal goods just to give yourself a little bit of extra legal money. You can see here I'm constantly running out of legal money. At some point, you're going to want to expand your criminal enterprise into other regions. With enemy cartels, you can either go through a series of requirements that they want satisfied by talking to them, or you can take them by force. So they have to like you enough in order for you to be able to do quests for them. There are these series of options. You can, when you're talking to them, you can be professional, you can be suave, you can be intimidating. I tend to blow right through all this text. There's so much of it, I don't bother reading it. There's probably cues for the way that you're supposed to respond to these people in order to initiate a quest by them. But there's so much text, I tend to not even bother reading it because I just find it kind of annoying to read through it all. But you can go the peaceful route and you'll get quests that they want fulfilled, and then once you fulfill all of the quests, then you can recruit that cartel leader into your cartel and you get rid of them out of that city. But you're not done yet because you still have to deal with the mayor, which you also have to talk to and then go through a series of quests, and then you can gain access to the city. Like most things in this game, everything is very involved. It's the same process with special buildings in the game. If you get in good with the guerrilla fighters, you have access to an airfield that you can ship out from, and you don't gain any terror. You also gain the ability to, if you're attacked and have this on, the guerrillas will help you and contribute firepower to one of the fights. You can also see that you can perform a robbery or a kidnapping at this building. So there are benefits. There are other things like the prison, which I'm working on now. It's a series of quests. First they wanted TVs and consoles delivered there. Now they want dried cannabis. And then whatever this third quest is, I'll have to fulfill that. And then I gain access to the prison, which, as far as I'm aware, the only benefit is that you can bail out people that are already jailed there. I might get more access to more things when I unlock this, but I'm not sure right now. There's also this army base where I actually have this captured. If I'm supplying them with enough opium, I can gain access to these different benefits. So there's a few special upgrades in the research tree that I can get to if they have enough opium. They will contribute military power to me in order to help me in any fights that I get into. And if you get all the way up here, the army won't attack me. So this basically protects me from the army coming in, killing my capital, killing a bunch of lieutenants, and destroying a bunch of my buildings, which is good. That's great. But you do have to make sure that they're getting enough opium in order to get those benefits. So let's talk about lieutenants. If you click down here, you can see all of the available slots that you have for lieutenants, as well as the slots that have already been filled. They all have different perks that you can unlock as they level up. You can make a special deal with this character to sell a particular item. You can increase their firepower. You can perform loyalty events. There are other things as well. If you put them in a particular building, they'll supply more trucks. They can give you access to different types of buildings so you don't have to research them. And they gain experience over time passively, but if you take a quest from them, they can level up faster, which gets you access to these perks faster. The choice of perks is always between one or the other, so you want to be careful about what you're choosing to upgrade them with. And they all have a loyalty meter, which if it drops to volatile, they might rob a bank, they might kill one of your lieutenants, which happened once, or they may try to kill your capo. You don't want their loyalty to drop this far because then they become unpredictable. They could do anything. There is no set thing that they do. I won't go through every little thing on this screen, but briefly, you can see how much cargo they can carry if they deliver something and how fast they are. Their firepower, you can give them a different nickname if you want to. You can change their upkeep type, whether it's legal money or dirty money. You can also give them raises here, and you can see the change in their allegiance level based on how much of a raise you give them. There's a little biography about them as well. You can read that if you want to. There's also a rank, whatever their rank is within the cartel. There is also research that you can do as well down here. Tier 1 and Tier 2 are open to you, but research in the third tier can only be done if you have a university, which is a special building that you can only build once in one of your cities. And research can only be done with legal money. You can't do this with dirty money. This is one of the reasons why, if you want to improve, you need to be laundering money. And as I mentioned before, some of this research, for example, you have to have control of the military base and be of a high enough, I'll call it, satisfaction at the armor base in order to gain access to this. So most of the time, in fact, I think all of the time, this will just increase the power at a building. So if a cartel or the government tries to attack that building, you'll have a little bit easier of a time defending it. You'll probably need to send lieutenants there to help out, but you can boost the defenses of a building this way. To wrap things up, because I think I covered most of the big stuff here, let's briefly talk about the issues I have with the game. And while this is running, because I'm chronically out of legal money, I'm going to give myself a loan just to be able to keep things operating, because this is annoying. First of all, money laundering takes far too long. It takes so long to launder money. And some of these buildings, I don't really understand why they exist. The Salsa Club? Oh my fucking god, dude. So, some of these buildings, I don't really understand why they exist. The Salsa Club, for example, just seems like it's not very good. Just seems like it sucks. It takes 2 days to launder $600, which is a pitiful payout. It does give you loyalty on action, but if you look at the taxi company, It takes 3 days, gives me $1,800, which is more than double what the Salsa Club gives. And the amount of time that it takes to get this money, everything takes so long. I don't really understand it. And when you get lieutenants to higher levels, if you're paying them with legal money, they can be asking for $500 a day. I mean, both of these guys are asking $450 and $470. These guys get expensive. So if you're getting $600 over the course of 2 days, and one of them is asking for $450 per day, that money will go so fast. I just don't really understand it. The bank is what you really want because it takes 10 days, but it'll give you $30,000. That's the highest payout that you can get. In 10 days, the Salsa Club would give you $3,000. And when you start comparing the different buildings, the laundering payout amount, the amount of time it takes to launder, the loyalty payout, the loyalty cooldown, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Some buildings are clearly better than others. I don't know if the developer intends for people to demolish obsolete buildings after better ones are available or something. But some of these, you just shouldn't build because they're not good. Either increase the payouts for what I'll call lower tier buildings, or really just all buildings, or decrease the money laundering time. Because as you were seeing before, until I got this loan, I was sitting at zero legal money almost constantly. It's kind of impossible to get enough legal money quickly enough. It seems to me, and I've tried and restarted this game many times, and I'm finding it to be very, very difficult. I'm going to show you some gameplay here so you can actually see the game working. My second complaint is that it takes forever to do anything in this game. There's no reason to play this on normal speed. I have the game running at 3x most of the time. Much of the time I'm waiting for legal money to roll in so I can research or build something or use it to increase my loyalty level. The best method to decrease the terror is to talk to the mayor about it. And the terror will go down, but you lose loyalty too. It's why I spend so much time trying to keep the loyalty as high as possible, because I know I'll need to decrease terror. Thirdly, lieutenants are annoying. They will, on a consistent basis, want you to do things for them. Sell a product, build something, whatever it is. Much of the time, I can't do it. I don't make the products they want me to sell. I don't have the money to buy it from another cartel and then sell it. Don't have the money to build the buildings that they want me to build. And if you don't do these quests, their loyalty goes down. I got to the point where I don't even look at the quests. Their loyalty goes down anyway if you ignore it, and at least I don't have to listen to whatever insane requests they have. Terror is another thing that could use a change. Even at the lowest levels, the local police will blockade a road every 30 days until the terror star goes away. If they decide to block the road to your smuggling point, you're not making any money for days. If you don't have the money to bribe the cops to go away, which every time you bribe them, the cost of the bribe goes up, you're out of luck and can't make any money. And yes, you can have more than one smuggling point in a region, but an aerodrome is expensive. And if you're not in a region that doesn't have the guerrilla aerodrome, or there's another region that has an airfield, you just can't make any money. And there's that whole series of quests that you need to go through to get an aerodrome or whatever it is that you're trying to capture. And even if you have enough firepower to deal with another cartel quickly, and take their city, you'll get a lot of terror. And then you have to deal with the mayor. It's not just the cartel. And then the police will show up and block the roads, and the feds will seize a bunch of buildings. You could fight the feds who are trying to seize your buildings, but then that will increase terror. Even if you fight them off, you might gain enough terror for the CIA to show up, and they're not interested in seizing anything. They'll just start blowing up your stuff. I didn't even mention the regular attacks that you'll suffer at the hands of other enemy cartels. You either let them steal from you, take your buildings over, or fight them and raise terror. It's a mess. And I started in a quote-unquote easy region. This stuff is hard. It's really hard. And I feel like the game does a really good job of dogpiling on you, because there's just all this stuff that you have to deal with on an almost constant basis. And if you don't do something, in particular for your lieutenants, they just get pissed off and your loyalty goes down. And you get other cartels attacking you and they take your stuff. And like I mentioned, you can fight them, but you also can't, because then it will raise terror, which makes everything more difficult. It even explains in the game, in the little tooltip, when you're looking at terror, it says it's a slippery slope. Once you start, it's hard to stop. And it is. It's really hard to stop. I feel like, and I've been speeding up this gameplay because I've just been muddling along trying to get things to work. I feel like the game doesn't give you enough tools to deal with all the things that you're going to have to deal with. And then the punishments is so severe when things go wrong. It's really severe when things go wrong. One of the things that bothers me about this game is that in early access, I could have sworn there was an update at some point where production buildings would automatically turn off when they start overflowing with resources. Because as it stands now, when one of the farms starts to overflow with resources, you have to manually turn the building off and wait for a warehouse or whatever to pick up that material and get it out of there, or send a lieutenant to do it manually. And so there ends up being a lot of this micromanaging where you have to click on individual buildings and turn them off and turn them on and turn them off and turn them on. And it's really annoying. And somebody can check this if they want to, but I'm fairly certain that there was an update at some point that had that, where buildings would automatically turn on and off, or at least they talked about it. I don't know why that's not in the game. I don't know why you can't set a production limit so you don't have to do all that micromanaging, because it's really annoying. So you will see here very soon that just now I have forgotten to pay back the debt to that mayor that I borrowed money from. And now the terror is going essentially as high. It is going as high as it can go. And I'm just kind of screwed at this point. And I know I've been harping on the game a lot, but I do like the game in concept. I wouldn't keep trying to play this game and make things work if I really, really disliked it, because I would just stop playing if I hated it. But as of right now, I would say wait a while for this to get more updates and see if things improve. And actually, there was recently an update announced for the game. They're reworking the logistics in a patch scheduled to release sometime in September 2022. I didn't get into the logistics much, but there are balancing problems regarding how many farms do you need compared to how many production buildings. For example, if you're drying cannabis to sell, how many marijuana farms do you need to keep the drying building supplied and running all the time. 3 farms doesn't seem to be enough, but then 4 farms is too much. The warehouse trucks can't handle that much, which means you have to turn off some of the farms until things clear up and then turn it back on, and I explained how annoying that is. And it's hard to find a balance, so hopefully they do something with that and things improve. I would say wait on buying the game for now. I'll be sure to make another video when the game is updated and let you know if things have improved. Subscribe and be on the lookout for that in a month or so. I don't know when that update's going to happen in September, but sometime in September. My name is Spencer. I hope you found this video helpful. You have a pleasant day or night. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.